Hi everyone, and welcome back to Genealogy and the Decoding Your Y-DNA series. If you're just joining us, this series is all about understanding Y-DNA testing and how it can help us explore our paternal lineages. My name is Jeremy Lehman, and I'm a genealogist who loves weaving DNA into my family history research. In this video, we're going to compare Y-DNA to the other types of DNA tests you may have heard about: autosomal DNA and mitochondrial DNA. Let's start with Y-DNA. Y-DNA is found only on the Y chromosome, which is carried by males and passed down from father to son. This means that a Y-DNA test can only be taken by men. Y-DNA traces one very specific line, the direct paternal line, going back thousands of years. You can think of it as a very narrow, but very deep test. Because Y-DNA changes so slowly over time, it allows us to trace migrations and connections far back in history. Now, most people are familiar with autosomal DNA testing. That's the type of test you see most companies advertise. Unlike Y-DNA, autosomal DNA testing can be taken by both men and women. Autosomal DNA comes from the 22 pairs of chromosomes we inherit from both parents, 50% from your mom and 50% from your dad. It's great for finding close relatives and recent ancestry, but it's what I like to call a broad but shallow test. With every new generation, that ancestral DNA gets diluted, so it only reaches back reliably about 6 to 8 generations. Finally, there's mitochondrial DNA testing, or mtDNA. This test is actually very similar to Y-DNA, except it looks at your direct maternal line. And unlike Y-DNA, it can be taken by both men and women. Mitochondrial DNA is passed down from mother to child through the egg cell. Like Y-DNA, it's a narrow test because it follows just one line: your mother's mother's mother's, and so on. But it's also a deep test because it can reach far back into time. So to summarize the different types of Y-DNA testing, we have Y-DNA, which is a narrow but deep test of a direct paternal line that can only be taken by men. It's most helpful for learning about ancient history and connections, but it can be expensive. Autosomal DNA is a broad but shallow test covering all of your family lines, but only for recent generations, and it's usually only helpful for tracing connections within the past 200 to 400 years. It's the best test for finding genetic relatives, and it also happens to be the cheapest of all available tests. And finally, mitochondrial DNA, or mtDNA, is a narrow but deep test of the direct maternal line and can be taken by both men and women. Because mtDNA contains far fewer base pairs than the Y chromosome, and mutations occur more slowly, it tends to be less useful for finding genealogical connections. Each test has its own strengths and weaknesses, and together they can give us a more complete picture of our ancestry. Thanks again for watching Genealogy. If you're enjoying this series, don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's keep decoding your Y-DNA together.